Good morning. Good morning, everybody. This is Joe, and we are once again here on Saturday and doing our review for the Lotus Sutra. As most of you know, that since I think a couple of days ago, we've begun the chanting of the Lotus Sutra. So the morning lecture that we are so used to having for all this time. Is we're going to take a little break from that. And so, you know, it makes me think that, it makes me cherish it even more, even when I was chanting. You know, I was constantly thinking that how wonderful it was when we get to hear the sermon and we get to hear the lecture every day and the teachings from Master. And so, but now sometimes it's not due to any other reason, but just because, you know, a certain period of time that we get to have it or we don't get to have it. So I think it's more for us to reflect. While it's wonderful to chant, but it's also still very important to cherish that time when we do get to listen. So this week, the contents are, I'm going a little bit lighter, trying to get all the information to be more, to be able to easier to be absorbed. And last week, but before we begin, you know, I would like to get everybody to take out your cell phone and scan this and to go onto the URL. And the reason is because this is the website. This is our English website for global events. And on there we have constantly putting on, or as much as we can, the news of what's happening in the world. And as Master has been constantly telling us that we need to know what's going on, especially in Africa. This is the website that is going to have all the information. And so supposedly it's going to have all the information, of course. English stories are going to come later. But there's right now, as of yesterday, I checked, there was only one story about the Mozambique and also the African flood. But the most important thing is go there often, check often. In order for us to share with others, we must know what's going on. If we don't know ourselves what's going on, how would we be able to share with others what we are doing? So everyone, we should take this time and you know, the donation, there's another website for donation that you could, if you go to this website, there is an online donation. There's a tab that says how to help. And you can always go there and click on online donation. There's a form you can fill out. You can do line pay. You can do credit card and all of that. The most important thing is stay inspired. Continue to be to do this, and every little bit of that compassion. We want to inspire every day, every moment, every thought. So this is the website, and wishing everybody could go on and take a look and know what we're doing in the world. Okay, so that's the first thing. And I'm wishing that we do this for all the places, whether it's in Chinese, whether it's in English, any place, you know, anytime that there's a gathering of people, it's almost like we are beginning with a, you know, before we finish, we do a chanting, or before we finish, we do prayer, you know, that type of thing is to try to get everybody to be rooted in what's going on in the world. Okay, so now let's go on to last week's review. Last week, we finished the merits of the nose and smell, and that's something that we are trying to progressing as we are going from the eyes and the ears, and now we finished the nose last week. And so what we're gonna have is last week we talked about from the sutra. It talks about the practitioners can smell all throughout the world. And it could differentiate all kinds of the sentient and unsentient beings, their smell and the aura. And why is it? Why is it that the practitioners can do all of that? And the reason that we talked about last week, we also shared about the distribution that's 5,000 meters high above the sea level, very, very high, and how the stories of the old folks there, the 70-year-old, and the distribution notice, and how the old granddad said that this is the most precious treasure of his life, is to be able to keep that distribution notice. And also the story about the story of him sharing that he was going to pass this down and passing this memory down to not just himself, but to his children and grandchildren. So they'll always cherish that. And then there was another Lama, there was another practitioner who specifically came to the distribution after traveling for 50 kilometers in the snow, just to personally show the letter that his father had passed down to him. So both of these stories, and there were other stories that we shared, all talked about how they kept on to this. And it brought me to a thinking that why would a practitioner be able to differentiate all the type of smells? And it's just like these people, they held on to their gratitude for such a long time that they would be able to feel it. They would be able to feel all of this. And so the idea was that those who received, I'm talking about the granddad, the 70-year-old granddad, and those one who passed down, who were passing down, the grandfather and the Lama, they basically all never forget and remember it all. And this is where I was trying to share with everybody, is that that's how the practitioners were able to differentiate all the different types of smell, because they have spent all their lives trying to help all of us. And it's just like, if you're a parent and if you raise your child, you will never forget how the child looks like or how the child behaves when they were still young. And that's exactly it. The practitioners or the cultivators, they looked at all the sentient beings, and they, from life to life, they stay with them. And they would never forget. They remember all of the effort they put into it. That's why they're able to differentiate and remember all those smells that were there. Okay, so that's how we have to remember the smell or the feeling of all these events, because we are really part of that, and we really put our efforts and mind into it, because each person, each event, everything is so deeply imprinted in our life. And the week before that, we talked about samadhi, and we talk about contemplation. That's one of the keys for us to remember. But it's not just the samadhi, it's not just contemplation, because it has become part of us. How seeing someone, hearing someone, listening to someone, because they become part of us. It's not, their image don't just come out when you're in samadhi. They become part of us. Just like every day in the morning, if you don't see Master or if you don't hear Master, it sounds a little bit strange, because her talk has become part of us. And that is how we remember. Like if you close your eyes, you can think about when she began talking. Sometimes she coughs, sometimes she talks a little bit softer, sometimes she's happy, sometimes she asks us all these questions. You remember all of that because it has become part of us. That doesn't require us to be contemplating or in samadhi to remember. That becomes part of us. And that's why, hopefully, it is so deeply imprinted in all of us that we will be able to take it to our next lifetimes or future lifetimes. Always remember whether Master comes out to talk or not. And that's what we're training right now, to imprint deeply our memory of every important people, of every important events. So that's what we talked about last week. Nose is more about feeling. Nose is more about the smell first, but it's more about the feelings, how you feel, how does the surrounding feel like. But this week, we're going to talk about the merit of the tongue. We finally move into the tongue. But the first thing first is the first four that we have encountered. Okay, so the first four, which are the eyes, the ears, the nose, and now the tongue. Okay, so they all have something in common. And that's their general function, right? The eyes will look and watch and see, right? The ears will be listening and hearing. And the nose will be smelling. And the tongue have the function of tasting. So they all have this common function to receive this stimulus, okay? The stimulus from outside, and to sense, to get an idea of what's around you. Is it red? Is it loud? Is it fragrance? Or is it bitter? So that's what the common function of all four so far that we can see. Then if you look at Master's speech, Master talks about the stimulus and our conscious or the organs that receive the stimulus. So Master talks about the bitter taste. The bitter taste is the stimulus. However, if the stimulus and the sensory organs are separated, meaning the bitterness is on the food is on the outside and the tongue is on the inside, the taste itself does not happen. Only if the bitter stimulus is tasted will we know that the taste is bitter. So in another word, all these sensory organs are trying to take the stimulus from the outside and then receive that and pass it to our inside, to our consciousness so that we could taste it. But there is more than just the idea of tasting, the idea of smelling. The Master continued to say, if I don't like the taste, even if it's the best tasting food or the worst tasting food, I just simply don't like the taste. So the idea isn't that if it's bitter, then you don't like it. No, if you like bitterness, then you are going to like it. So a lot of people like dark chocolate, right? Like the 92% or 97%. Those things just taste awful. Well, for me, they taste awful. And they're just very bitter, right? But there are people that really, really like that taste. So they like that bitterness, but they're not necessarily would like the bitter melon. So it's same as bitterness, but they don't maybe like all of them. So Master is telling us, if I don't like it, even if it's the best tasting dark chocolate in the world, I just won't like it. On the other hand, Master says, if I like it, even if it's bitter, I will still like it. And if I don't like it, even if it's sweet, I will still dislike it. It's a very, very simple thing that Master talks about. But remember, Master said last week that it's something that to always be reminded, okay? Something very simple can be very deep. And if you think it's very simple, chances are that we are not thinking it deep enough. So it's something very simple that I translated, okay? If I like it, even if it's bitter, I will still like it. If I don't like it, even if it's sweet, I will still dislike it. It's a whole idea. So the idea is that, so the first level is you have to sense and receive the stimulus, right? The food is there, the fragrance is there, the sound is there. It's all around, right? So the first level is you taste it, you sense it, you see it, you hear it, or you taste it. That's the first level. The second level here is then we begin to differentiate, you know, from in terms of, today we're gonna get some Tima doctor to share. So I'm sure you all know about these nervous system. But the idea is that we go into our consciousness. And then the first level is to get the stimulus. The second level is to differentiate. Oh, this is red, this is blue, this is big, this is loud, this is soft music, etc., etc. Oh, this is sweet, salty, or this is sour, or this is bitter. So that's the second level, is to differentiate. The third and the fourth, there's actually more than that, but the third and the fourth is to not just differentiate, but to decide if you like it or not, and then you're gonna do something about it. So these are the first three levels, the very immediate, easy to discuss three levels that we have about the senses. However, Master then talks about, continue on. She said, as a practitioner, our mind should always be in the Dharma. There is no differentiating whether the food is good tasting or bad tasting, as the food is necessary to sustain our lives and to progress our cultivation. So there is no differentiating between good or bad, but it has served its very simple function, which is to sustain our lives and to progress in our cultivation. And therefore, as a practitioner, our minds are in the Dharma, not in the taste. And that's very important. Our minds are in the Dharma, not in the taste or the sight or the sound. It's in the Dharma. And therefore, if you're in the Dharma, there is no differentiating whether the food is good or bad. It's one part of the necessary content for us to sustain our lives and to progress our cultivation. So that's what Master told us. And so Master continued. We should cherish all food and waste none. We as practitioners can't be picky about food. Everything we eat, we must think it all tastes wonderful. And, you know, I'm not there yet. I still have my attachment to, for example, ice cream. That's what breaks me. But nevertheless, you know, I cherish all food. I will eat all of them, and I will waste none. But, you know, we cannot be picky about the food. Everything we eat, we must think it all tastes wonderful. And why is that? Because all the food are there to help us sustain and help us progress our cultivation. Therefore, it is supposed to all taste wonderful. And that's the idea. That's the idea. In that the previous three levels that we talked about, the previous three levels we talked about, we eat and we taste, right? That comes in. It does not change, even if we like it or not, it does not change how bitter it tastes or how sweet it tastes. The idea is the cultivation. Where does it happen? Does it happen after we taste it? And then we say, you know what? I really don't like how it tastes. The master tells us we are supposed to like all of them. So then the cultivation goes in at the second level. You've already tasted it. You've already think that you don't like the food. But you remember what master says. We as practitioners need to appreciate, cherish, and like all the food, and supposed to think that everything tastes wonderful. So that goes between second and third. You know, you've already tasted it. You tasted the bitter melon, and you go like, well, it's really bitter, and you really don't like it. But master said we're supposed to like it. So let me pretend I like it. So let me tell myself I like it. And let me hypnotize myself and believing that I really like the food. So the cultivation goes in after you already think about all of this. However, master is trying to get us to think that if your mind is in the Dharma, what you are tasting, the stimulus can come in. Your tongue and your nose and your ears and your eyes will still see and hear and taste all these things. However, before it even goes into processing how you like and dislike certain things, you've already changed your mindset to feel that, hey, regardless of how bitter it smells like, or how bitter it tastes like, or how bad it smells like, it's not going to matter. And therefore, before you get to differentiate, before you get to dislike or like, the cultivation already sets in. And that's what we have to work from between 2 and 3 into 1 and 2. That's how we overcome ourselves. Because it's always very difficult to overcome when you begin to differentiate. You already say you like or dislike. You see someone walks in. The very first thing that you tell yourself is, you don't like that person. But we as disciples of master, we must like everyone. Therefore, you tell yourself, I'm gonna like that person. So you go up to them and you say good morning against every fabric of your life. But that's okay. That's between 2 and 3. At least you're trying. But master is trying to get us so that the Dharma, our minds are always in the Dharma. So before you see these things, before you get these senses, you already are prepared that no matter who you see or no matter what the tastes are, you prepare yourself to think that you're gonna like it. And therefore, whoever comes through the door, before you get to differentiate them, you already set your mindset to be prepared to like them, to appreciate them, to cherish them. And that's what we're supposed to do. And that's what all these things are supposed to tell us. So how do we think like that? How do we think that? So before we get to differentiate, we already have this cultivation ready. So the idea is gratitude. This is what master talks about last week. A lot of it last week or 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. Gratitude. Or in another word, gratitude is actually the attitude of gratefulness. It's actually combining 2 words. Grateful attitude becomes gratitude. So it's combining the attitude and gratefulness into 1 word. It's called gratitude, okay? So this is what we come to know. And gratitude is very, very important. And I think everybody knows how important gratitude is. But I wanted to share with more what master talks about in terms of gratitude. So these are the stories that of gratitude that we heard in the past 2 weeks. You know, the Qinghai distribution that I talked about earlier, right? The 70-year-old granddad who remembered from 23 years ago because this was so deeply imprinted in his life. It's not the notice that are deeply imprinted in his life. What was it? It's not the rice, it's the gratitude. It's the gratitude that's in his mind. And the only thing that he could show with that gratitude was by keeping on to that notice. So understand, it's not the notice itself that was the key. It was the gratitude. But he can't show that gratitude. Gratitude, it's a feeling, it's an attitude. You can't hold on to it. So he held on to the one thing that he thought was most associated with this gratitude, and that was the distribution notice. So that was the reason why he held on for so long, for 23 years, was gratitude. So that was Qinghai distribution, and there was also the Lama story as well. Master also talked about the Mozambique distribution, where she talks about the importance of water and how people there don't have water and don't have food. So in that case, they have no choice. They have no choice but to be hungry and have no food and water. We here in Taiwan or in other places where we are so fortunate to have food and drinks, who are we to continue to say, I like it or dislike it? And that's all comes from the idea of being grateful for what we have, because we see people in Mozambique have nothing. And I think that's the idea of the stories and the powers of gratitude. And that's very important. So what does that mean? So the attitude of gratefulness is very, very important for any teachers of Dharma. And as you all know, that we are now in chapter 19, and it's talking about the merits of the teachers of Dharma. And so the idea here is this entire chapter, even though it talks about the merit of the teachers of Dharma having all these wonderful powers far exceeding our normal uses of our eyes, our nose, our ears, and our tongue, even though it talks about that on the surface, it's really talking about this attitude, the attitude that we must all have if we were to try to pass the Dharma, if we were trying to spread the Dharma. It's very, very important. So Master says about the tongue, it's not just about tasting. So the first four, the eyes, the ears, the nose, and the first part of the tongue, it all talks about receiving. But now the second part of the tongue, it talks about giving back. So for the eyes, for the ears, and for the nose, there's only one-way street. You can only receive. You can't give back. Yes, you can make a sound with your nose, but you can spread Dharma with your nose. But now with the tongue, you don't only just receive, but you could also give back and make sound. So Master says, the tongue can make wondrous sounds, and such sound can seep into the mind so that those who hear it will be joyous. And how does this so? The sounds of each word and each sentence are made distinctly and clearly and are all deeply imprinted in the heart. Those who heard it clearly understand the meaning of every word and every sentence. So, and the meaning of all the words and sentences are weaved together, and all the insights seep into the mind and the heart. Such deep impression makes the listeners filled with joy. So the idea is that these words and these sounds are so deeply imprinted into the hearts and minds of the people that are listening. But why? Why? How do we talk like that? How do we say words distinctly and clearly so that everyone can hear it and understand it and like it? How do we do that? And the answer is gratitude. And this is what I feel mostly very strongly this week, because both the listeners and speakers are filled with gratitude. Let's talk about the listeners first. We foremost are listeners. Every morning when we have the opportunity, we will be able to listen to Master. And because most of us, all of us, we listen with such gratitude that every word of what Master says, even every cough, every action that Master makes are so important with us, and everything is filled with gratitude in our heart, that every sentence, every word is so clear, and we cherish it. Even sometimes we doze off. Yes, we do. We sometimes fell asleep. Sometimes we are, our legs are tired or it starts to go numb. Yes, that all happened. But we really cherish all the words because the listeners are very grateful. And in that, hopefully, every word will be deeply imprinted in our mind. And a lot of us, sometimes we're still not there yet. It's not because we're not grateful enough. It's because we are often troubled with many different things. Like we're troubled with the fact that we don't understand what Master's talking about, or we're trying to understand it. We're trying to listen carefully, etc. But very importantly, the words are going to deeply imprint in our mind because we are grateful. On the other hand, speakers, on the one side, You know, for example, today our brothers and sisters from Singapore are going to share their experiences in Cambodia. So the speakers, including myself, including Master, you know, I'm always filled with gratitude when the audience is willing to listen. You know, can you imagine you go into a room and, you know, the 30 people there, the moment you begin talking, they don't get up and walk away. They just all begin to, you know, fall asleep right in front of you and begin to talk among themselves. You know, can you imagine that? So yes, I'm already grateful that none of you, you know, right away stand up and leave and say, well, I'm not going to listen to any of this. I'm already very grateful, and I'm very grateful that we have this vehicle and this platform where we all get to share all of this. And Master, through last week's teaching, is trying to let us know that, you know, everything you do, whether you're a listener or a speaker, whether the things that you are doing or the things that you're talking, you must be filled with gratitude. And imagine this, you know, sometimes people, I remember one person told me that, how could you possibly have gratitude? You know, how could you possibly have gratitude when you're so annoyed with somebody who's making a mistake? You know, I told them, it's very simple. If you think that you need that person's help, then your attitude will be grateful. If you don't think that you need that person at all, like I could do without you, I don't need you, then there will be very little gratefulness involved, right? So that's why Master always says, she needs everyone to help purify the hearts and minds of people. She needs everybody's help to bring harmony to society. She needs everyone. You can't miss anyone. You can't miss anyone. So in her mind, everyone is necessary. Therefore, it's very simple. It's very easy to have that gratitude because you need their help. Imagine if you need the help of the person next to you. You're not going to be very nasty and mean to them. You're going to be very nice to them. So that's the idea of gratitude, is that because you feel the need for them, you're going to be grateful. But how do we always be filled with gratitude? I just talked about how. But the most important idea that Master talked about last week was because we treat all as our family. Imagine, why would you do something for people of Africa? You know, the very beginning when we have that QR code and I want everybody to go out and read the news. Because if they are just somebody else, then maybe you wouldn't care so much, right? But if you are your family member, if someone in your family is ill and sick, and you have to do something to help them, would you? Yes, you would. And gratefulness comes from there because you treat everyone as our family. You know, the idea of empathy, you feel like what they feel like, you know, and that is very important because you treat all of them as our family. And therefore, it's very normal for you to be grateful for them to be part of this. And what is family? Family means we share the same goal. We share the same objective. It's not just sharing the same last name or the same bloodline. You share the same objective. We are here in Tzu Chi. We are called the Buddha Dharma lineage. Lineage means that we share the same ancestry and we are in the same family because we want to do the same thing. We have the same objective. And because of that, we know that we can't do this on our own. Therefore, we're always grateful. And that is if we always think of each other as our family. The moment you begin to think of each other as our family, the idea of gratitude and the gratefulness will come in. And when that comes in, you are going to be grateful whether you're listening or whether you're talking. And the more grateful you are, the more the things you said will go into people's mind and heart because they were able to open their hearts to listen to you. And you're also able to open your hearts to listen to them. And the more listening and more discussing and communicating, the less problems that our societies are going to have. So, and I want to go into, that's my sharing for today. It's very simple. It's all about gratitude, but it's also very difficult because it's hard to change our mindset. So it's not about waiting until that person comes up to you and then you say, no, I must be grateful. It's about before you see anyone, before you encounter anyone, you are going to tell yourself and remind yourself, everyone is my family, and therefore I need to be grateful. That no matter who walks through that door, you at least will be mentally prepared. That's why Master says that the first thing she wakes up, she thinks about is gratitude, is to be grateful. The moment she feels and set herself for the entire day to be grateful, then she's going to see everyone gratefully. She's going to speak gratefully. She's going to talk about and act about gratefully. And that's what matters. So I'm going to go into the first question. One of the questions here, that I thought is very pertaining to today's topic. And it's talk about question 1 of this year. It says under chapter 14, of the 10 to stay away. Okay, so there's a 4 安乐行, the 4 acts. Basically, it's your body, your mouth, what you do, what you say, and what you think, and making the vow. So these are the four peaceful practices. So of the 10 to stay away, 1 is to not to draw near a pet. May I understand the reason for such as in this modern world, many people take pets as good companions. And isn't it better that we take good care of the animals rather than leaving them outside as strays? You know, you're absolutely right. That we want to take good care of animals, and we want to shelter them, and we want to, we want to protect them, all lives, right? And the idea of the 10 isn't to tell you to not do that. But the idea of the 10 to stay away, including to stay away from, fun, these drama, to stay away from different type of people, government officials. It's not to tell you to don't do anything to them, right? It's more about do not be attached. Imagine the idea of family. Aren't we supposed to take care of our children? Yes, you do. But Master also talks about the idea of great love. The idea of treating everyone as your family means we are supposed to make our hearts greater and think wider and bigger about the whole world as our family. Same thing. You taking this pet as your companion. You take care of it. You shelter them. You feed them. And you making sure you protect them, making sure that they are not as strays. And that's wonderful. But we could also be doing the same thing to share that love with all the animals and all the sentient beings and all the living beings on earth. So, there are plenty of people that have pets, but they're still not vegetarian. They love these pets. They love these animals, but they think it's okay to eat other ones. Same idea. The idea is that you're so attached to one pet or one person or one family that you forgot to look at the bigger part, the bigger world. So the idea isn't to say you are not supposed to take care of them. No, that's not what it says. It says refrain from attached. All these things are supposed to be there to help us to say that, see, a stray animal can still be very lovely. Same thing, affinity draws this stray animal to me so that I can take care of it. So what about the affinity with all the worlds, all the sentient beings? Aren't we supposed to take care of them too? So this is my explanation for this. So a lot of times, like you said, in the modern world, there is a different interpretation of the sutra. But all the core remain the same. It is to make sure that we can expand our love to great love, to love all as equal, to be able to see all lives and shelter them and protect them and cherish them. And that's what we're supposed to do. Okay, so that's my sharing for today. And thank you all. And I'm going to pass it over to our Singapore friends and Tima team so that you could share with us the lovely, lovely experience you have. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Joe, for your great sharing, which we have a lot of Dharma joy from it. Now we come to the session where the Cambodia missions participants will share their encounterments over there, and we have 3 sharers. One is TCM physician Cheng Chuanfeng Yishi. He will share his encounter with us now. Oh, by the way, Cheng Chuanfeng Yishi is first time going for Tzu Chi mission. So Cambodian mission, he must have some strong feeling about that.
Hi, good day, everyone. I'm Tuan Hong, Chuan Feng in Chinese. I'm here to share with you what I experienced in the Cambodia medical mission. And it started all on the 1st of March. Actually, we moved before 1st of March. On the 28th of February, we moved up there and involved teams of Western medicine as well as traditional Chinese medicine. Where it starts, we move off. We have a great team of people, but the preparation actually started way before it. Approximately 1 to 2 weeks before the mission, a briefing was conducted. And mobilization team consolidated the equipment and materials and moved to the airport. And because the advance party has already moved off to Cambodia to start up, so everyone else who moved on 28th of February helps to move the goods to the check-in counter at the airport. Approximately 100 Pusa from Singapore flight to Phnom Penh. And this is where we go. The location precisely at Cambodia is known as in the Tak Keo province, Cha Jiao Shen. And the precise spot is known as Pre Kabas within the Cha Jiao Shen. On the map of Cambodia, this is where it looks like the small little area here surrounded with red borders. It is an area of 3,563 square kilometers. And how big is that? We probably need to have an imagination. I only know about Singapore. Singapore is about 700 square kilometers. So that area with the red borders is approximately 5 times of the size of Singapore. But it has a population of less than 1 million, where Singapore has 5 million plus people living in it. And this is where Pre Kabas is. It has 9 counties. When we reach there, I know very little about Cambodia, other than what I learned from the movies in 1984. Well, the only thing I learned from there is they have gone through a very hard time during those years. But I'm very touched by the turnout. The number of people that turn out for the medical mission is a lot. And the event was very heavily supported by the chief administrator of the county. And the locals also turned out to support the mission by providing their translation capabilities. So we responded with a great team as well. There are physicians, people who conduct registration, ushering, and also distribution of medicines. We brought our own tools, some specialized. There are altogether 3 countries in the TCM team, 18 participants. But because of the customs and regulations, there were only limited materials that we could bring there. And therefore, also very limited supply of medicine. In 3 days, we completed, or rather we treated 250 approximately on the first day. By the second day, we cumulatively treated 660. And on the third day, we have treated a total of, up to the third day, we have treated a total of 1,200. Average is 3 patients per hour per physician. But on the last day, boosted by the great response, the overwhelming response from the villagers, the last day the average was 4 patients per hour per physician. We had exchanges at the end of every day, and every day we are looking for improvement. The 1,200 patients that TCM has treated is greater than 20% of the total patients treated at the medical mission. And our TCM leader, Jane, also conducted a public education session just to make sure the idea of keeping good health does not subside after we left Cambodia. I was very impressed by the response from the residents. All the good things said, but there are some personal thoughts that I thought I should share at the same time. This mission is only less than a week. Nearly 5,800 patients treated, but there is 800K to 1 million of residents in Takeo province. And if you compare with the population in Cambodia, there is 16.5 million in total. What we have done is only a drop in the ocean. And I also took the effort to search out more information about the current situation, or approximately the current situation, from the World Health Organization website. Cambodia has a ratio of medical doctors to 10,000 populations at 1.682. Of course, that was a very old number. Even it has improved today, presumably, maybe it's still in the range of 3 to 5, not so sure. But having looked at it, and I compare with Singapore, Singapore has a ratio of 23.063. So I presume, just a hypothetical target, perhaps 10 medical doctors to 10,000 population seems to be a reasonable target. And indeed, if that is the target, then we need to bring another 13 to 14,000 of doctors or physicians to the country so that the people will be well treated with medical care. And is that a reasonable number? Can the demand sustain the number of doctors? Well, if you look at another statistics, number of Cambodian outbound medical tourists, people who travel outside the country to receive medical treatment, is approximately 1.4 million in 2016. And mainly to their neighbor countries, Thailand and Vietnam. They spent approximately $600 million a year. So this is a good source of information to justify the increase in the number of doctors. Well, what we can do is only 1 week, and these are what we hope to turn out. We want to bring across the knowledge and the ideas about TCM to let people know about traditional Chinese medicine. We plant seeds in people's mind. Maybe few, but hopefully they will grow. We want to bring awareness to the general public in Cambodia about lifestyle, what is good for them to keep their health on. We also bring along TCM special treatment, acupuncture, and many others. We want to encourage people to have self-help and self-sufficiency. And to do all this, financial aid is required. Hopefully that will bring along people from the philanthropy organization, the government and the public to continue to inject funds into this area so that there could be more doctors, more medical institutions to help people with the needs of medical care. Overall, I'm very glad that I'm part of this team in this mission, and I'm very happy. And that brings the end of my presentation. And I have a wonderful day to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Chuan Fong, for his heartfelt sharing. And rest, I think many of us feel the same way, that Brother is very good at figures. Actually, Brother is he has another profession besides TCM physician. He is an accountant. That's why you see all his figures is very precise, which I'm very impressed. Okay, we will have next sharer, who is a dental assistant. She has experience to go to Cambodia. Sorry, not Cambodia is the first time, but Sri Lanka and Philippines. So Cambodia is her first time. Let's welcome Sister Riani. Sorry, I just connect. Sorry.
Good morning. I'm Riani. I'm doing a dental assistant. First time in Cambodia, to see all the people in Cambodia. I'm blessed and happy to give my hand out to render my help to those people that in need. And it's a moment of happiness to have those people around to receive help from us, and I'm so blessed to give my hand, render the love, render the needed that they need, and happy, very, very happy to see them happy with what we have done to them, and really hope that I can give my best and do more to those people in need. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we come to the third sharer, which is Dr. Chai. Dr. Chai is our GP lead for this Cambodia mission, which just take place on 1st and 3rd of March. So actually, Dr. Chai has a very nice slide, PPT, but we are still trying to get it on time. Maybe Brother Chai, I think you have to share first. I couldn't get it on time. Yeah, that's right.
Morning, everyone. So project first for the course didn't bring my thumb drive, but it's saved in my iDevices. So as Brother Chan shared just now, when we talk about Cambodia, everyone will think about Angkor Wat. So we didn't manage to go to Angkor Wat, but the place is something called Phraek Kaaba. It's about, you Google it, to travel is, you need to travel about 7 hours south from Angkor Wat. It's about 2 hours drive south from Phnom Penh airport. Small town, friendly people. What I've seen throughout the 2.5 days of so-called service there in Phraek Kaaba is my own estimate is about 90% of them, of the patients, having gastric pain, some or generalized body ache. We call it 肌肉酸痛. I felt that we're very thankful to all the translators there. Some of them are monks, and most of them are the local government servants. Maybe their English is not the best, but they did try their best to do the translation for us. Without which, I don't think we can see so many patients there. What I found there is we found a lot of new friends, be it from local Singapore, Myanmar, or not Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Taiwan, Malaysia. What I felt is that I felt that I didn't do much enough for the locals there, because medications is quite limited. Yes, we did see some common cases, common cold, body ache, which the problem can be relieved within few days. Yes, there are some come for some vomiting or some diarrhea. It can be resolved in a few days. But what if they come for diabetic medications, hypertension medications, which need treatment for lifelong? So I find that yes, we didn't do enough, but at least we have provided some hope. Hope in the sense that when the person felt that they are helpless, at least they are at the light at the end of the tunnel, in which there's a time will come that someone is there to help them relieve their pain, relieve their suffering one day. So, I have a nice picture here, but I think we can put up. We have a lot of makeshift so-called consultation rooms, but it's not consultation rooms, there are consultation chairs and tables, which I find quite comfortable. The locals are, I find that they are very thankful to us, but then I felt that it should be the other way around. We should be the one who felt thankful to them as we are given opportunity to serve them, to do good deeds, and cultivate good karma. And all of us are well taken care of. You stay in a nice hotel, local hotel, with good background, good beautiful sceneries nearby. And we have provided good food, cooked by our sisters and brothers as well. And through these missions, I would say 2.5 days of missions, again I felt 体验到上人之言，有苦的人走不出来，有福的人走进去。Our next mission, hopefully I'm able to join, and hopefully all of us can join the next missions. If you Google Angkor Wat, yeah, these are pictures provided in the Googles or in our site of service. So the site of our service, Prekabas, 2-hour drive from the airport. Simple place, small town, no temples, no monuments, no relics. Yeah. So found new friends, Malaysia, and one from Laos, but based in Taiwan. New friends and my roommate. Oops. This part I felt, at least we don't do much, but then at least we provide some hope to local people. These are the site of service, empty chairs, empty tables, but this is before the start of the war. And the numbers, I can't give the exact numbers. Out of 5,000 plus patients, I think we saw like, we shared among ourselves like 3,000 plus patients in GP. One of the monks who is quite helpful. Nice place in our hotel. Good food, I really appreciate the vegetarian food provided by our brothers and sisters. And as a 上人之言，有苦的人走不出来，有福的人走进去。And our next mission, hopefully, more people can join. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Brother Chai, for his heartfelt feeling. I noticed a lot of great pusa. They always feel, those great pusa always have this common characteristic. They are very humble, have a lot of gratitude, like what Brother Joe has just mentioned. And I think we can learn a lot from their sharing. Okay. May I pass the mic to Hualien for Sifu to share a words of wisdom?
Hi, good morning, brothers and sisters. Thank you for our Singapore volunteers who give us such a wonderful experience sharings at the Cambodia relief distribution for the medical service. And I think this is what, like Master say, the merit of tongue is not just for tasting the food, tasting or good or not, or bitter or what, but also is for us to spread Dharma. I think for the 3 volunteers who give us sharing just now, they all have the same mission. Is like they have I mean what Master say, we must what is called sufficient in our mind to go. So I think they are not just sufficient in what they have in Singapore life, what they're going through, but I think they also have enough the love to spread to other countries that which is we are told to have different languages and you know the belief and religions as well. So I think they spread the great love to those who are in need, and also like Master said, they are fully utilize the function of tongue, which is they are you know not physically and also verbally to taste what the suffering of life is. So I think this is it's very good that we keep learning Dharma and we keep inspiring our personal you know aspiration in our continuing to do the Bodhisattva path. So this is very important. So I think the last but not least, also they all also harbor a heart of gratefulness in their mind. This is very important, like what just now Brother Joe say, we must you know the gratefulness and the gratitude is the attitude of the gratefulness for as the practitioners who are you know want to be in the cultivation with Bodhisattva path. So I think this is the end for my sharing. Thank you.
感恩师父 for sharing words of wisdom, and today we also have gained Dharma joy by listening to Brother Joe's review of Lotus Sutra. Rest assured, we'll put our learnings today into our daily life and progress spiritually. So last but not least, let's pay our respect to our teachers of life universal truth. Let's put our palms together and make 3 sincere bow. First bow, second bow, third bow, and a bow to our beloved Sifu who could join us today. And hope to see you all next week again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.感恩 for our presence.